Hello, Professor. Thank you for the opportunity for giving us a chance to do our last assignment speaking instead of just having to write it. Um, on another note, don't succumb to these idiots and their writing on the walls. It's just graffiti. But I'd like to start off by saying that I'm a natural speaker. I've been a speaker because of my entrepreneurship, being an instructor for 20 years, and this class has taught me a lot. It's actually, if the analogy I see it as is, being the statue, your class kind of helped sharpen off a lot of the edges that I didn't understand how I was doing or why I was doing it. For example, I didn't really realize my hand gestures weren't really where they were supposed to be till I saw my video on the first one. And I definitely didn't realize I was chewing gum. So thank you for telling me about that. One of the greatest things, and it's going to not be in the same order if you don't mind, but one of the greatest things I learned from your class is how to add and subtract time to my speeches. It comes natural for me to speak about martial arts. I'm sure the same way that it'll come natural for you to talk about your yoga or anything else that you're doing with repetition. For me to come out and have to do an assignment that you gave me was really cool because I'm so used to doing the same thing being at my age. I learned that if you read off a script, you'll never do it right. I learned that just by writing, just similar to writing, you have to have an outline. You can't just wing it. You know, One of my favorite speeches for sure is my TED Talk. Not just learning how to add and subtract time, but I never knew there were TED Talks. And going in and researching, to this day, still my favorite one is that Gorilla Gardner. I'm actually looking into trying to get in touch with him because I'm very interested in supporting that cause. Down in Brooklyn, same thing. Everywhere, it just looks horrible. If they would just grow gardens, I think it would make people feel so much better. Um, I think my hardest speech was my 1 minute talk, and that's just because you're trying to cram everything you want to say into 60 seconds without any fillers, you know. So that was my toughest talk. My easiest talk, I think, was talking my narrative speech. Talking about my son Gavin was very easy to do. It was a very emotional time for me. So for me to get out there and talk, I think I had to shrink the time instead of worrying about going under, you know? Um, Looking back at my style on how I speak, I would definitely say that I speak from an entertainer stance. I'm used to, even when I teach a class, there's people beyond that class. For example, when I teach students, they have parents. So I have to read the rhetoric that's going on, not just with me communicating with my students, but also the body language that I'm reading from the people beyond them. And being in an entertainer stance, I think, is really going to help me with my jobs that I'm looking into doing. Definitely my weakest and still needs improvement is if I'm put on the spot to talk about something I don't really have a passion in or I haven't done with a lot of repetition, then yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking. My main thing that I really would like to improve on is when I graduate by next December, I'm going to be working as a pharmaceutical sales rep, and I'm going to be doing nothing but speaking. And that's not a problem for me, but I'm not used to doing PowerPoint. This is my first semester of my life, which is kind of sad, but I'm doing PowerPoint. And I know I'm going to have to get up in front of people and speak, and I'm not used to using something to look at someone and then look behind me. And I don't really trust the technology, so I'm afraid on relying on something else. That kind of happened when we did the speech a little bit at the voters forum. Went off, and then when you asked me and I said, oh, we need to do a Q&A, that's like what comes natural for me to do, is to fix things. But to be attached with technology is inevitable. I have to do it due to the fact that things change now. It's not the same as how I started business 20 years ago. And the corporation that I'm looking to work for is definitely going to expect me to know how to operate PowerPoint and things of the such. I apologize for the pauses. I have to take work calls while I'm doing this, and I don't want you to have to hear that. I was really looking forward to doing that ceremonial presentation. The irony is I had Jack again. He gave me the same guy that I had issues with in the beginning of the semester, so I was going to give him the Batman Award for never being here on time but getting the job done. And I called and I told him. I hope I have a class with you in the future. I have 10 more communication classes, and I will look forward to trying to find yours. Thank you for everything, and I look forward to seeing you in the future.